what's the worst case scenario? Someone gets seriously hurt. Someone has like life-altering injuries, and that could happen in boxing. We've seen this.
Good.
Yeah. What about you, Manny? Any concerns? Any worry?
I like your question, like about concern about myself and everything like that. I know, okay, so, of course, if there's something wrong with me, and especially my preparation or the way I move, become slower like that, I don't want to exit the fight.
Anyway, one question real quick. So we know Barrios is going to bring a straightforward style to you. I think he's got these sneaky hooks. What are you going to do to counter those hooks that he's going to be trying to bring?
Making a comeback in a sport as brutal as boxing, especially at an advanced age, isn't just risky, it can be downright life-threatening. That's why Manny Pacquiao's return at 46 has sparked serious concern among boxing analysts, fans, and even fellow fighters. It's not that people doubt PacMan's ability to defy the odds or even shock the world one more time. He's done that before. The real worry is about his health. And the question lingering in everyone's mind is simple but heavy. What if Manny gets brutally knocked out or worse, seriously hurt? But that concern began to ease when the Filipino icon finally addressed it himself, offering calm assurance to his supporters and critics alike. So, let's take a closer look at the main concerns the boxing world raised about Pacquiao's return and how the legend himself responded to put those fears to rest. When news broke that Manny Pacquiao was planning a return to the ring at the age of 46, the boxing world lit up with mixed emotions: excitement, nostalgia, curiosity, and most of all, concern.
I'm coming back because, like I said, boxing is always my passion, and I miss boxing for how many years? All years I stopped boxing. I always thinking boxing, and even my house I have a boxing ring, boxing gym, and I always work out every day, like playing basketball, playing badminton. So I really love exercise, and I really miss boxing.
While fans dreamed of one last flash of greatness from the Filipino legend, several high-profile voices in the combat sports world quickly stepped forward, not to doubt his skill, but to sound the alarm about the very real dangers that come with fighting at such an advanced age. One of the first to publicly express concern was renowned combat sports journalist and analyst Ariel Helwani. Known for his coverage across both MMA and boxing, Helwani didn't mince words. He emphasized the worst-case scenario, something fans often avoid talking about: serious injury or worse, life-altering trauma.
Because what's the worst case scenario? Someone gets seriously hurt. Someone has like life-altering injuries, and that could happen in boxing. We've seen this.
Helwani noted, pointing out that Pacquiao has already been knocked out cold in the past. While he recovered back then, Helwani stressed that the human body doesn't respond the same way at 46 as it does in one's 20s or 30s. The risks aren't just higher, they're exponentially more dangerous.
Pacquiao isn't immune to this. He's been knocked out. He's been hit. He's not Floyd, who has been hardly hit. Like, he's been knocked out cold. I thought when he got knocked out by Marquez, I thought he died. It was that scary. Yeah. Remember that one?
This wasn't just media hype or clickbait concern. When a legend like Sugar Ray Leonard weighs in, people listen. Leonard, who experienced the highs and brutal lows of boxing firsthand, knows all too well the long-term effects of repeated trauma to the head. He gave Pacquiao an honest and heartfelt piece of advice: take care of your health and respect your limits. That may sound simple, but coming from Leonard, a man who once had to retire due to an eye injury and later dealt with his own comeback dilemmas, it carried significant weight. His tone wasn't critical, it was paternal, almost pleading.
As for Manny, just any advice from him at all?
Just be healthy and do what you think you can do. It's a hard thing to.
Ricky Hatton, another former world champion and fan favorite, echoed similar concerns. A man who has walked away from boxing and returned before finally calling it quits, Hatton now serves as a promoter and trainer. He's seen both the front lines and the aftermath. When asked about Pacquiao's comeback, he didn't mention the quality of the fight or speculate on tactics. His very first comment was, "I just hope Manny doesn't get hurt." That statement alone speaks volumes. For a man who spent decades around gloves and rings, the absence of any hype-driven language tells you exactly where his priorities lie.
Pacquiao Barrios, Manny, former opponent of yours. A lot of reports he's going to fight Mario Barrios for the WBC title a number of years out of the ring. What do you make of it?
Well, one, I hope he doesn't get hurt. I think there's every chance he could do.
Then there's Timothy Bradley, a man who knows Pacquiao better than most, having shared the ring with him across 3 hard-fought battles. Bradley admitted that Manny looks far better physically than most fighters his age.
I think his C game is a lot better than anybody, a lot of guys' A game, even with the age.
But he didn't let that cloud his judgment. He pointed out that in Pacquiao's last outing, a 2021 fight against Yordenis Ugas, the Filipino icon simply didn't look like the same fighter. His timing was off, his speed dulled, and the explosiveness that once made him a whirlwind of danger seemed faded.
But you have to take into account the last time he stepped foot in that ring, man, against Ugas. You know, he didn't look good. He was outmatched by, a fighter, a younger fighter.
Now, 4 years later, Bradley questions how much more wear Pacquiao's body has endured. And it's not just about age. It's about the opponent. This time, Manny is stepping in with Mario Barrios, a much younger, taller Ranger fighter who knows how to manage distance. Bradley was blunt in saying that the matchup itself presents real risks, especially when you factor in age, size, and the 4-year layoff. And in perhaps his most sobering remark, Bradley noted that legends like Manny often don't stop until they've suffered one too many losses, a pattern boxing history knows all too well.
Barrios is no slouch. Barrios is a young fighter, bigger fighter, knows how to, control distance very well, can punch a little bit. Like, he's no easy task for anybody in the welterweight division. And for Manny to come back after this long and to face a young guy like that is dangerous. And sometimes, these old legends, they got to get beat up several times before they call it.
Even those who stood behind Pacquiao during his earlier comeback attempts are raising red flags. Bob Arum, the legendary promoter and CEO of Top Rank, worked closely with Manny for years. Back in 2021, when Pacquiao was still in his early 40s, Arum publicly warned that continuing to fight at that age could result in serious brain damage. He expressed genuine concern, urging the former 8-division world champion to consider the long-term effects of fighting into his 40s. And if that was his stance 4 years ago, it's not hard to imagine how much more intense his worry must be now.
That any fighter goes into his 40s, runs a risk of brain damage. That is not something that I'm making up. It's something that the medical people will tell you. Whether that applies to Manny Pacquiao, I don't know. I haven't examined Pacquiao. I'm just saying at his age, it becomes a problem.
But here's the thing. Manny Pacquiao isn't just any 46-year-old stepping back into the ring. He's not a faded name clinging to the spotlight or someone chasing a paycheck. This is an 8-division world champion, a man who's made a career out of proving people wrong. And if you've seen him recently, you might understand why the legend himself isn't concerned in the slightest. In a recent photo shoot, Pacquiao's physique turned heads. The speed may not be visible in a still image, but the conditioning? That was crystal clear. He looked sharp, lean, and in fighting shape, like someone who never really left the gym. And that's because, according to Manny, he never did. After hearing weeks of criticism and concern from fellow fighters, analysts, and fans, Pacquiao finally decided to speak up. He wasn't dismissive. In fact, he welcomed the concern. But he made one thing clear. He knows exactly what he's doing. Pacquiao explained that the 4-year break was actually a blessing for him. His body, worn from decades of nonstop action, finally had time to recover. More importantly, so did his mind and spirit. He didn't just take a step back, he used the time to recharge. And now, he believes he's returning not just with the same fire, but with a renewed sense of purpose.
When I announced retirement 4 years ago, I feel like I'm so sad and was crying, emotional because of turning the passion that you grow up. but later on, it's good for me because it's give my body rest for how many years been in boxing. I started 12 years old in boxing and then non-stop, and I able to stop like I retired 4 years. So I able to rest my body, and good thing for me because I always do exercise every day, and I realized that I can still have a fight, and I still have the speed and power, stamina, everything like that, and passion.
He's also not living in denial. Pacquiao admitted that if there were any red flags, if he felt slower, weaker, or unprepared, he wouldn't be doing this. If there was something wrong with my body or my preparation, he said, I wouldn't make this return. It wasn't just a soundbite, it was a calculated decision from a fighter who has always taken pride in being honest with himself. He didn't need to come back. But he wants to, and more importantly, he believes he still has what it takes.
Yeah. What about you, Manny? Any concerns, any worry?
I like your question, like, about concern about myself and everything like that. I know, of course, if there's something wrong with me, and especially my preparation or the way I move, become slower like that, I don't want to actually the fight. I'm not gonna fight anymore. But I still have that. Like I said, I understand what is boxing. Boxing is so hard, difficult sports, and I understand that, and that's why my reason is I still have that fire. I still have that speed, power, and of course drive to work hard. I'm enjoying training hard. I'm enjoying workout like that. So
Pacquiao talked about maintaining a disciplined lifestyle even during his hiatus from professional boxing. While he may not have been fighting, he was far from idle. I never stopped training, he said. I have a boxing gym in my house and a basketball court too. I stayed active all the time. Whether he was sparring, running drills, or staying sharp on the court, Manny made sure his body never fell into decline. He didn't take 4 years off. He took 4 years to reset.
So even though you've been retired for 4 years, you've still been working and training and things.
Oh, yeah. I've been playing basketball, badminton, and then gym. I have my own gym in my house, basketball court also. So,
one of the specific concerns raised was about Mario Barrios' dangerous left hook, a weapon that has put away more than a few opponents. When this was brought up in an interview, Pacquiao didn't flinch. Calm, collected, and confident as ever, he responded like someone who's been there before. We've been preparing for it, he said. There was no bravado, no trash talk, just the cool poise of a veteran who's faced more dangerous punchers than Barrios in his career.
Hey, Manny, one question real quick. So we know Barrios is going to bring a straightforward style to you. I think he's got these sneaky hooks. What are you going to do to counter those hooks that he's going to be trying to bring?
And during a conversation with Jadel Reda of the Los Angeles Times on June 20th, Pacquiao took the opportunity to send a clear and personal message to everyone raising concerns about his safety. I appreciate that they are concerned, he said. However, the only people I worry about is my family. How I move, how I train, what kind of condition I'm in. They support me because they can still see the old Manny Pacquiao. That quote says everything. Pacquiao's comeback isn't about proving doubters wrong. It's about proving to himself that he's still got it. He's not ignoring the danger. He's simply saying he's prepared for it. And most importantly, the people who know him best, his family, are standing firmly in his corner. They've seen the training. They've watched his movement. They've looked in his eyes and still see the same fire that carried him from the streets of General Santos City to the bright lights of Las Vegas. So while the outside world may continue to question his decision, Pacquiao isn't flinching. In his mind, the timing is right, the preparation is done, and the fight is just another chapter in a story that refuses to end quietly. For Manny Pacquiao, age is just a number, but determination, discipline, and legacy? Those are timeless. But what about you, fight fans? Are you also concerned for Manny Pacquiao's well-being leading into the Barrios fight? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.